Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Idahoan Show. You know, most hand loaders, if they've been in the practice of hand loading for any length of time, have worked up a series of pet loads for the various calibers that they reload. And being no exception, today I thought I would let you in on my pet process, as it were, for hand loading 223. Now, the first step in the process, of course, is selection of cases. Empty 223 brass is available from a wide variety of sources, but for highly consistent cases that are conducive to accurate reloads, my preference is to start by buying the Fiachi brand factory ammunition, and then when I'm done shooting these, I pick up the empty cases and use that as the feedstock for reloading. Of the brands that I've tested, Fiachi seems to have the most consistent cases. Next, I'm going to take the once-fired cases and further down-select for case consistency by weighing them and keeping only the cases that are between 100.5 and 101.5 grains in weight. This one's 100.7, so that's perfect. 100.9, 100.6, see, 102.2, I'll throw that one in my junk brass bucket. Seems like about 80% of the Fiachi brand cases will usually pass this test. So now that I've selected the cases I'm going to use, I want to check their length. Most of these are once-fired cases that probably won't need any trimming, but if I do find any that are too long, I'll trim them to length on my metalworking lathe. I know they make dedicated case trimming machines, but most of them are basically sort of a scaled down knockoff of a metalworking lathe, and since I already have the lathe, I might as well just use that. Of course, after trimming, most of these cases are going to have a burr on the case mouth, so we'll want to deburr them. Now that I've got those cases trimmed and deburred, I'm going to polish them up a little bit with this vibratory tumbler. So now that I've got these cases all cleaned up, it's time to size, decap, and reprime them. And I'm going to do that using just a standard steel sizing die on a single stage press. Of course, I'm going to have to use a case lube with that die. Now, I know they make a variety of commercial case lube products, but what I find works better than any of them is just good old white grease. Now, I should probably mention that I've set up my sizing die to only resize the neck portion of the cartridge. Since I've already fired these in the rifle that I plan to use them in, the cases are basically fire formed to that specific chamber. And so by only resizing the neck, I go from having a close fit between a standard sized cartridge and a standard sized chamber to a perfect fit with a case that's been fire formed to that specific chamber. And that produces greater consistency, greater accuracy, and less wear on the cases from excessive sizing as they're reloaded repeatedly. If I were going to use these in a variety of guns, I'd want to do a full-length size so that they would chamber reliably in any firearm regardless, but where I'm going to be shooting them in the same firearm that I've already fired them from, neck sizing definitely has its advantages. Of course, for 223, I'm using a small rifle primer. In this case, I'm actually using Remington's number 7.5 small rifle bench rest primers. However, I did some fairly extensive testing with these loads with different brands, different types of primers, standard versus Magnum versus bench rest. And for this particular load, at least, I didn't see any difference whatsoever in accuracy. So, which particular small rifle primer you use, in this case, doesn't seem to make much difference. So now that I've sized and reprimed all of these cases, I just have to clean off the white grease that I used as a case lube. And so far the best way I've found to do that is just to put them back in my tumbler with a bunch of dry sawdust. Now all that remains is to meter out the powder charge and seat the bullet. And there's two different pet combinations of powder and bullet that I'll use. Either 23.3 grains of BLC2 behind a 77 grain Nosler boat tail match hollow point, or 27.9 grains of BLC2 behind a 55 grain Nosler ballistic tip. I wasn't able to fine-tune the bullet's seating depth as much as I would have liked because I still have to have the cartridges short enough to fit in the magazine, and in the case of the AR-15 that tends to be the limiting factor rather than rifling engagement. So basically I'm seating these bullets to be as long as possible and still fit in the magazine. And there's my precision hand loads for 223. Now all that remains is to go out and shoot something, but I'll save that for a separate episode. So for now, thanks for watching the Idahoan Show.